Welcome into the Grid Network. Welcome into the Boston Sports Summit presented by the Grid Network. I am your host, Tim Barnett, and we have a big show for you today because it is opening day in Major League Baseball, and what a day it is. The sun is shining, the birds are chirping. It's time to play America's favorite pastime, baseball. And yet, I am worried. I am always worried about what the Red Sox are going to be doing, especially with how everything has fallen this past offseason and what they've done over the last decade, even 12 years, has just been awful. Not to say that we haven't had some good years in between, but it's been a little crazy. So we're going to get started with the Red Sox, but I do want to let you know we are going to be talking some Bruins, some Celtics. Obviously, they are finishing off their season. They are going to be playing in the playoffs soon. They just have to lock up their spots. The Celtics have already clinched the number one seed in the Eastern Conference. The Bruins, with a Red Wings loss tonight, can clinch a playoff spot. So that's some pretty big news. And also, the Patriots. You know, with the new coach, the NFL owner meetings, the league rule changes that they just implemented, everything is going on. Everything crazy, I think, is going on with the Patriots right now, from amateur hour to new rules that I am just like, what are we doing here? So it's going to be interesting. Let's dive into it. First and foremost, we have to talk about the Red Sox. The Red Sox are, like I said, starting up tonight. They are officially going to be playing opening day versus the Seattle Mariners, but that has not come without some, I don't want to say controversy because I think that's a little bit too strong, but President and CEO Sam Kennedy, the dude does not know how to keep his mouth shut. And not that he doesn't take interviews, because don't get me wrong, I love him talking because it gives me all the content in the world. I feel like almost every sentence to every other sentence, the dude is saying something that just totally, he is totally out there, has no idea what is going on in Red Sox Nation. And he was on Mass Live, Sean McAdam and Chris Cotillo's The Fenway Rundown podcast. And there's a lot that he said, but some of the big things that I want to hit on are a lot that has to do with the narrative, the team, signing guys, and how all of that unfolded. So the first thing that Sean McAdam asked him, which was kind of a softball question, if you ask me, because the way he framed it, he had to bring up the fact that, oh, Sam, you know, you live in Brookline, you live a mile down the road from Fenway, or, you know, from the city. You know, you're out and about around town. You know, what are the fans who come up to you, talk to you? What are you hearing from them about the team, that what they've done, what they haven't done? What are the fans saying, basically, is what he asked them. So, of course, you know, you're going to get that. Like, it was kind of a layup, and it was a layup to a degree, because Sam took this opportunity to talk about how, you know, he moved, so now he's closer to Fenway, that he's living in the neighborhood. He is a big Dunkin' Donuts guy. If you guys don't know, Sam Kennedy loves his Dunkin' Donuts multiple times a day, mind you. So if you want to go talk to him, go to Dunkin' Donuts right by Fenway. I bet you'll run into him, and you can give him everything that you want to give him. But he goes on to talk, Sam Kennedy goes on to talk about the, quote, social media narrative being so negative, end quote. And it's so funny to me, because to him, oh, it's just a social media narrative. That's not the real narrative. No. It's just social media. Everything on social media is so negative. Now, before I get into that, I just want to specify, I love the Red Sox. I always have, always will. And I want them to be good. I want them to be better. When John Henry bought this team initially, he spent money like crazy. Pedro Martinez, great investment. Manny Ramirez, great investment, no matter how that Manny situation ended. It was a great investment. Hell, they almost got A-Rod, right? So John Henry spent money for a long time. And so now that they've refused to spend money, they are trying to frame it in a way that, oh, it's just a social media narrative. Social media is always negative. What can you expect? So, and he goes on to talk about how fans say we're excited about the young players and what has happened during spring training. There's a lot to be optimistic about. He goes on to say further, quote, those are real fans. Those are fans who support us through thick and thin. Well, I got to stop there because first and foremost, thank you, Sam. Thank you for really letting me and us know what you think of the quote unquote pink hats. That's what I call them. That's why I said quote unquote. But the pink hats are the ones who are just blind faith. They don't care. They're like, yay, Red Sox, woohoo. You know, it's baseball season. I love it. Where they can't pull themselves out, look at the team, and say to themselves, let me be critical here. Let me look at what has gone on in Major League Baseball. What have the Red Sox done? What have they done in the past? And what are they doing currently? And let me put two and two together. No, they don't do that. So to him, those are the real fans. People like you and me, no, we're not real fans. We're the a-holes on social media who just love to be negative, which couldn't be further from the truth. You know, Sam, I would love to sit up here and tell you that I am excited for this season, that I am pumped. I know all the guys. I've seen them play. I watch spring training, blah, 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 the whole nine. I wish I could tell you that, but I can't. Because what have you done for me? Nothing. You literally have done nothing. John Henry has directed you to stick under a budget, which keeps going down and down and down, the worse and worse and worse you get. So here I am criticizing ownership and for their lack of moves, lack of investment, while the prices of my tickets, your tickets, and everything else that's going on in the ballpark keep going up and up and up. So while their payroll goes down, 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 you're spending more. And yet, here I am supposed to be excited about this young team and excited that, oh, hey, look at us. We're the Red Sox. We're good to go. Yay, look at the Yankees. Oh, they traded for Juan Soto. He's a bum. Baltimore Orioles, they're a young, talented team who got arguably the best starting pitcher in Corbin Burns. They're going to finish in last place, right? Seriously? So that was interesting to me. And as a non-real fan, I am disgusted with this team, with all the resources that you have and refuse to use. And also, I love the fact that he had to throw out there that the woohoo guys are the thick and thin supporters. Listen, I told you, I am a Red Sox fan through and through. I am one of you. I am not like Sam Kennedy, who has worked for the team for 23 years, that still wants to refer to himself as a man of the people, saying that he's a diehard Red Sox fan. I got a family who's a diehard Red Sox fan, or Robert Kraft for that matter, which I'll get into later, who is saying, I got to put on my fan cap now. No, both of you, stop talking like you're fans, okay? Because I have more connection to the fan base than you, because I'm one of you. I am one of you guys. Okay, out there, I am one of you. I am not Sam Kennedy. I don't work for the team. I am not Robert Kraft. I don't own the friggin' team. No. So that's why that bothered the living crap out of me, because you're calling everybody who's being critical of you, and rightfully so, not real fans. And so tell me, do you want to be the person who lives with the blinders on, who only can see what's in front of them, just see the Red Sox logo, just see this logo right here, and think to yourself, oh, everything's okay. Yeah, that's all I can see. Yay, look, Fenway Park. I love being at Fenway. And don't get me wrong, I love being at Fenway too. Fenway, like I had to go to Fenway every year. It's like a tradition. But I am also smart enough to see what the ownership does with this team, what they can and cannot do, or refuse to do, I should say. Not they can't do. They can do anything they want. And I'll get back into that in just a few moments. But the next thing that Sam Kennedy goes on to say is, or just discuss. I'm not quoting, but just discuss. He goes, the one thing I agree. Well, I will say this. Sorry, I'm jumping a little ahead of myself right here. I will say, the one thing I agree with Sam on is the fandom. And the interest in the Red Sox is there. He's saying that there is interest in the Red Sox. And Sam, I agree with you. I 100% agree. I want to be there. I want to say I am excited for the dog days of summer. There's a reason why this episode is titled The Dog Days of Spring. Because the dog days of summer are the times where there's no other sports going on. It's just baseball. And when the Red Sox suck, when they are out of it, when they're last, it's not fun. Then, yeah, it's the dog days of summer. July, August, September suck. The last thing I want to watch is a friggin' Red Sox game. The last thing I want to do is go to a Red Sox game when I know what I'm going to expect. That's why the dog days of summer. And that's why I'm calling this episode the dog days of spring, because I have a very strong indication of what I'm going to expect. But I know the interest is there. I want it to be there. I look forward to opening day usually every year. This year, not so much, because the problem is that you and the Fenway Sports Group, from John Henry all the way to LeBron James, which I can't even begin to talk about how much that pisses me off, refuse to invest to make this team worth watching. If you want to come on and tell me we're getting rid of all the veterans, we're trying to build up, we're trying to go young, we're trying to throw in these guys from our farm system, all right. At least you're telling me your honest, brutal truth, the brutal, honest truth that is going to lead me in a direction where I am not expecting you to sign Jordan Montgomery, Blake Snell, Yoshida Yamamoto, Shohei Ohtani. I'm not expecting that, because I know you want to just take your farm system and say, here, jump into the big leagues, get some experience, and let's go. But you didn't do that. You didn't. You lied to my face. You lied to all of Red Sox Nation who's watching this show, and all the others who aren't. Like, I'll be honest. And you told us you were going full throttle. So, speaking of full throttle, Chris Cotillo was asking him about the full throttle approach and how, at what point did you realize like you weren't going to be going full throttle? And so, of course, Sam Kennedy never answers the question. He has to jump around and then make excuses, and that's the thing I hate. I can't stand excuse making, trying to say, oh, well, we're doing this, doing that. No, there's no excuses. What happened? And so Sam starts off and says, we've had a very active and very busy offseason, starting with the GM search in mid-September, which is actually kind of funny that he brought that up as an excuse for for how busy they were. Because in case you forget, they, as a sports group, as Fenway Sports Group, have effed over Theo Epstein, Ben Cherington, Dave Dombrowski, and now Chaim Bloom. They have. They have screwed them over. And so when they were going through the GM search, which they were very busy for, the funny part was they had 10 to 12 people turn them down. Yeah. 10 to 12 people said to them, when offered the head of baseball ops position for the Boston Red Sox, absolutely not. We're not going to be a part of this Ferris wheel or carousel wheel of baseball operations guys. No shot. And I don't blame them. I really don't. And so through that, he obviously goes on to talk about the budget parameters. So the funny part about that is Sportico and Forbes both came out with Sportico came out with the top 5 Major League Baseball franchise values, and Forbes talked about ranking all 32 teams based on their value. Well, that was very interesting to me because, of course, why wouldn't it? Seeing how the Red Sox ranked 3rd for both, behind the Yankees and the Dodgers. Yankees and Sportico were valued at $7.93 billion, the Dodgers at $6.3 billion, and the Red Sox at $5.96 billion. And for Forbes, in terms of the Yankees and Dodgers, their valuations came in at $7.55 billion. Dodgers came in at 5.45, and the Red Sox came in at 4.5 billion, right? So the Red Sox ranked 3rd in current value. They also ranked 4th in revenue at $500 billion, which is total earnings, obviously, before taxes and all that nonsense. And then they ranked 8th in operating income, which I think was around 62 million, something like that. And yet they've only been in the luxury tax once in the last 5 years. And yet they're whining about spending too much money. And we can't spend all this money. We just can't do it. It just amazes me. It absolutely amazes me that we've come this far as an organization, as the Red Sox, to be valued as one of the most valued franchises in baseball, yet to act like you're the Oakland Athletics, like you're the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, or the Rays, excuse me, and the Baltimore Orioles. What a joke. Absolute joke. But Sam Kennedy, in all his glory, continues to say that they have an invested ownership group that has been willing to extend in certain cases. Now, for an organization group that made it a point not too long ago to come out and say publicly that they refuse to sign long-term deals with starting pitchers, well, pitchers, primarily, but in general, with guys who are 30 and older because they equal bad contracts. You telling me you can't afford Jordan Montgomery 1 year, $25 million that he just signed with the Diamondbacks, who, I don't know, was working out in Boston College, who was just living in the city. His wife is working in the city. Also, Blake Snell going to the Giants, 2 years, I think, 62 million, something like that total. You're telling me you can't do that? Spend a couple dollars over the luxury tax this year to get two starting pitchers, especially after Lucas Giolito got injured? You can't do that? Blake Snell has an opt-out after this season. Jordan Montgomery signed a 1-year deal. It's not that much when you think about it all together. It's kind of a joke. Then Kennedy wants to use the Rafael Devers $331 million extension last season as look, this ownership group is invested. We want to spend money. We just want to spend it on the right guys. Well, Sam, let me remind you that the Rafael Devers extension was because Red Sox fans bullied John Henry. I will say it once and I will say it again. We bullied John Henry into getting that extension done. There's a great video on Twitter showing Red Sox fans waiting outside Fenway Park during the winter or right before the Winter Classic between the Bruins and the Penguins, who John Henry owns, Shaka, that pay Devers. There is a story with a Red Sox fan who was holding a sign at the game that said pay Devers, and the security confiscated it and then came out and apologized because the story blew up. People were like, what the hell? So for him to say that was a big splash, in that guys like me who are so negative about the team, no, I'm realistic about the team, but for us we just whistle past Rafael Devers' extension. We don't talk about that because it doesn't fit the narrative. Look, see, they spent $331 million on one player, a 10-year contract, and he says it was a massive, massive commitment to see a homegrown player spend the rest of his career with the Red Sox. And Sam, not once have I said that you haven't spent money on Rafael Devers. No, I always talk about it, but I always bring it up because it actually fits my narrative. It doesn't fit your narrative. It fits my narrative due to the fact that we bullied your ass. You let Bogaerts go. No one liked it. So we made sure that Rafael Devers was going to stay in Boston because he is the only guy on this roster that remains from the 2018 team. It's insane to me. And for you to act so high and mighty, so cocky, to say that guys like me who are negative want to whistle past the Rafael Devers signing. No, I don't. I never have. Not once. Because I know how that deal actually got done. So, like I said, Sam Kennedy is honestly a match made in heaven because every time that dude opens his mouth, it is content glory for me. And because the funniest part about it is he still goes on. He talks about how they love to have homegrown player spend the rest of his career with the Red Sox. And I go, oh, really? A homegrown player spend the rest of his career with the Red Sox? So wait, with this ownership group, how did it go with John Lester? Is he still on the team? Did he retire a Red Sox? How about Xander Bogaerts? No? Ooh, I know. Mookie Betts. The reason why the Red Sox are going to be so good this year is because Mookie Betts is still on the team, right? No. 3 homegrown players you let walk because your boss, John Henry, is a cheap scumbag. If I said it once, I'll say it again. John Henry is a cheap SOB who doesn't care. He couldn't care less about the players. If anything, he just wants to be the devil. He wants to be the Rays, and be the team that spends $50 million, but yet gets to the American League pennant, right? Which, sorry, that's not how baseball works, pal. And then the last quote I do want to bring up because, like I said, content glory for me. Sam Kennedy, every time the dude opens his mouth, it's fantastic. But the one thing that he said, which I couldn't believe these words came out of his mouth, were, quote, "It's been a difficult 2 seasons. We do not see ourselves as a team that is content with finishing in last place." Now, for those of you that follow me on social media here on Instagram at Boston Sports Summit, on X at Boss Sports Summit, YouTube Boss Sports Summit, and then obviously the show is going to be on the Grid Network every single Wednesday. I know it's Thursday, but this is an off week. Every single Wednesday, 7 p.m. live on the Grid Network. But for those of you that follow me, and if you don't, I suggest you do, go like, share, subscribe, tell everybody about this. Please, for the algorithm's sake, please like the show. I talked about this because when I saw this, it absolutely blew my mind. Now, I know that we finished in last the last 2 seasons. We finished in last in 2020, but again, 2020 was that weird year. Still finished last, though. And I couldn't really remember because if you talk to me about the 2010s, all I can remember is 2013 marathon, winning the World Series, then kind of fast forward to, I think, 2015, 2016, where, we made the playoffs, but we lose. And then obviously 2018, having the best team in baseball, winning it all, beating the Dodgers. And then obviously 2019 is like a blur. No one remembers that, obviously, because of COVID the next year. Well, this really opened my eyes, and I saw this on X, and I talked about it on my Instagram. The Red Sox are tied with the Baltimore Orioles for most last place finishes since 2010. And here I am thinking to myself, we have 4 World Series titles in the new millennium. We're not that bad of an organization, right? Oh, wait, you're telling me we have more last place finishes than the A's, than the Blue Jays, than the Rays, than the Reds, the Marlins, and the Orioles were tied with them? How insane is that? Here I'm looking at those organizations as perennial losers, because that's what they are. They're perennial losing organizations. The Orioles, they look like they're going to, come in first this year in the AL East, but overall, to me, my lifetime, it's been a perennial loser organization. I love going to Camden Yards, beautiful ballpark, but they suck, and that's fine because Baltimore fans, they don't really care about baseball. A lot of those cities don't care. It's nice when the team does well, but when they suck, they're like, yeah, okay, another year, whatever. It's no big deal to them. But we're the Red Sox. I just said we are top 3 in baseball most valued organizations, according to Forbes and Sportico. And yet, this is what we get. 6, what could be, probably will be, a 7th last place finish since 2010. Hell, if you want to go off the Red Sox, since 2012. 2010 and 2011, both years we didn't make the playoffs, but we finished 3rd. Starting in 2012 was our first last place year. So basically, in 12 years, or 11 years, in 11 years, the Red Sox have finished in last place in the AL East 6 times, more than any other organization in baseball outside of Baltimore. Now we are the perennial losers who like to throw in a couple World Series here and there. Like, can you take a step back? As a Red Sox fan, when we won that first World Series in 2004, breaking the curse of the Bambino, breaking Babe Ruth, getting traded to the Yankees, having that whole fiasco go on, did you think this is how this was going to go? I didn't. I sure as hell didn't. Because this is absolutely insane to me. And for all the other fan bases out there that say, well, you've won, 4 World Series. Yeah, well, you know what? it's kind of a what have you done for me lately? But it's not, because look at what they've done for us lately. Meanwhile, you sprinkle in 2 World Series in there. But again, for Sam Kennedy to go on and say that you're not content with finishing in last place, that your goal is to win championships. Well, Sam, explain this to me. Explain that chart that says you are tied with Baltimore for more last place finishes in baseball, basically. It is an absolute joke. And I am sick and disgusted. I can't actually even believe that it's opening day, because I feel like this is one of those opening days that no one really knew about. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, wait, it's opening day today? Oh, okay, I guess baseball is on. But now, come to find out, like, due to all the streaming services and everything, like having certain deals, like MLB has a deal with this one, they don't have one with that one. It's like no one can watch baseball now. It's stupid. It's really stupid. Like, I love baseball. I love the Red Sox. That's why I'm so critical. I am critical of the Red Sox because I want them to be good. You know, you don't have to go and win a World Series for me. But at least, again, for the 1 millionth time, FSG, John Henry, Sam Kennedy, show me that you want to invest in this team. Don't keep raising my prices to then lower yours. Because obviously I'm not going to fall for that. And I know people will. And I don't blame them. I wish they wouldn't go. I think that would be hilarious, is that all of a sudden you go to Fenway Park, the game starts at 7:05, it's 7:15, and all of a sudden there is not a soul in Fenway. Like it was with COVID. You know, that would be phenomenal to just have a game, middle of a game playing, and there is not a soul in Fenway outside of the players and the staff. That would be great. You know, really stick it to the Red Sox and John Henry. But obviously I know that's not going to happen due to the out-of-town fans and, you know, some Red Sox pink hatters, you know, are like, whatever, hey, I get to go to Fenway. You know, sure, fine. I'm not upset by that, because I'm not going to sit there and, you know, blame you for wanting to go to Fenway, for, you know, if your kids want to go and you want to take them, fine, go, be my guest. Not gonna berate you for that. It just sucks that it seems like John Henry and FSG has us over the barrel, and outside of calling, you know, sports media, reaching out, going on Twitter, bitching and complaining, there's really nothing that we can do outside of having no one go to a game. It's hard. It's hard like that, because I want this team to be good. I really do. I really do. Like, you're probably sitting there going, all the, you know, for lack of a better word, bitching and complaining I've done. You're probably sitting there going, how can you sit there and be a fan? Because that's what I am. I am a fan of this team. I love the Red Sox. Always have, always will. And I want them to be good. But I also want the ownership to show me that they want to invest. You know, because if I'm going to pay the highest ticket price in all of Major League Baseball, then damn, I better be getting a good product out of it. And I'm not saying that they have to win. They have to go 162-0. No, of course not. But don't lie to me. Don't go down that path, because this is the type of situation they themselves put themselves in. All right? Because everything that I tell you, going full throttle, all the Sam Kennedy quotes, Tom Warner, like, these guys have said it with their own mouths and then tried to retract it weeks or months later, because it's like, oh crap, like, you know, we said this and now we have to figure out a way to circumvent that so that way the fans aren't yelling at us. Where, again, as Red Sox fans and Boston sports fans in particular, guess what? I know you and I know me. We're not stupid. When we hear you say key words, certain phrases, we know exactly what that's going to produce. And then when you don't do it, this is the type of belief storm you get. I mean, it's absolutely insane to me that this is where we are. This is where we are as Red Sox fans, where we are for opening day 2024. It sucks. It's going to be a long season, folks. And the one thing that this question has been posed to me a lot, right, is what are your thoughts on the team? And my thoughts of the team are, again, it's not going to be good. I don't think this team is strong enough. We're definitely not deep enough to make it, I think, a full 162. I think we're going to come to a point where injuries are going to start piling up. I think what happened to Lucas Giolito was a freak accident. I mean, the guy has no history of injuries. And then, of course, he gets injured. And it's not bad where he doesn't need Tommy John, but they definitely have that elbow. They're going in to check out his elbow. And so I'm worried. I truly am worried. And we had all the starter depth right there, ready to be had out on the free agent market, and they refused to do that. They refused to. So I know that Brian Bayo is going tonight, which I think is great. And I'm trying to look up their starting lineup because I know they just announced it not too long ago. But yeah, so the starting lineup, you have Jarren Duran at 1, Rafael Devers. Jarren Duran's going to be in left field. Rafael Devers is going to be at third base, batting 2. Trevor Story's batting 3 at shortstop. Tristan Casas batting 4th at first. Tyler O'Neill batting 5th at right. Matsutaka Yoshida DHing, batting 6th. Sedan Rafaela batting 7th in center. Manuel Valdez batting 8th at second. And then Connor Wong catching, batting 9th. And, I mean, I need to see what Jarren Duran, Tristan Casas, and Trevor Story, for that matter, can do. Because Jarren Duran and Tristan Casas have had their ups and downs. Jarren Duran was on pace to lead the league in doubles because the dude has wheels. Like, when he goes, he goes. And I love it. It's great. It can definitely throw defenses off, especially when he hits like a bloop single that he can stretch into a double. And Casas has shown that he's got quite a bit of power. Problem is, these guys need to put it together for a full season. Duran's been hurt. Casas is streaky. And then Trevor Story, outside of Coors Field in Colorado, is a career 237 hitter. And of course, last season, was mostly a no-go. But for that, I'm like, 237 outside of a ballpark that's a mile high, where the ball flies further and all that stuff. Like, I mean, this roster doesn't excite me. And I am excited for the young guns. I'm not going to – I shouldn't go so far as say it doesn't excite me, because it does. Brian Bayo, I want to see what this kid can do. Jarren Duran, Casas excite me. Rafaela, he excites me. He looks like a good center fielder. I hope that the dude can hit, but I have no freaking clue. And so the Red Sox are just this weird predicament, man. It's tough. It's tough being a Sox fan. And not for the reasons that, we're not going to win a World Series this year. No. It's just that, the Red Sox have invested practically nothing in this team and expect me to, yay, Red Sox, it's time. It's Major League it's opening day. Like, let's go. Like, how can I get up and excited for that lineup? How can I get up and excited knowing Shohei Ohtani, Yoshida, or Yamamoto, Montgomery, Snell were on the market to be had, especially later on. They got them for cheap. And this is what I get? This is the product that I get? Oh, it just sucks. And talking about, products that we don't know what we're going to be getting next season. The New England Patriots, man, they just had the owner meetings on Monday and Tuesday. The head coaches got together and the owners also got together and talked about certain rules that they wanted to pass from the competition committee. And I want to start off with Jerod Mayo and start off with talking about his interview on Monday. It was that breakfast that you have that infamous Bill Belichick photo of him drinking the orange juice. He's just sitting back, just, like that smugness. And so, of course, what does Jerod Mayo do? He brings a glass of OJ with him as this joke, to try to, hey, look, see, now I'm the Patriots head coach and I have my glass of OJ. Shout out to OJ. And you're just sitting there going, oh, God, really? And then, ironically enough, he spills it all over himself. So it was just kind of funny. A couple points that I want to hit with Jerod Mayo was he kind of made a dig, I thought, at Drake May, because while he was talking about he seems like a good leader, his interview at the Combine was really good, and that he could see the high ceiling. He goes on to elaborate going, but we don't talk about his floor, how he hasn't played football long enough compared to the other guys. And I'm looking at that going, wow, really? Like, are you not a May fan? Meanwhile, Drake May had his pro day today, and a lot of people said that he was phenomenal. Yeah, he overthrew a guy, but a lot of coaches, a lot of scouts were there and watching him, and they liked what they saw, I guess. And Elliot Wolf, I guess, was right behind the North Carolina coaching staff, so you could see that there might be a little something there, that, hey, the Patriots actually might like Drake May. Who knows? But to hear the head coach say that 4 days prior or 3 days prior, I thought was really interesting. He also goes on to talk about Jerod Mayo saying that, quote, the guaranteed way to win is to accumulate more picks. Now, I thought that was interesting for two reasons. Number one, it's interesting because last week it was reported that the Patriots weren't even looking at trading out at 3. Now, meanwhile, I'm one of these guys that I don't know. I'm actually in favor of trading out at 3, maybe trying to attack the offensive line position, maybe get a high-end receiver. But to hear him say that the guaranteed way to win is to accumulate more draft picks, is it? Because when you look at the history of who has the most picks in the NFL over the last 5 years, right? The Browns lead the way at number 1 with 52 total draft picks. Again, not hitting, just total draft picks. The Browns are at 1 at 52. Seahawks are tied with the Vikings at 2 for 49. The Bengals are tied with the Niners at 4 technically with 48. Then the Ravens come in. The Colts and Commanders are tied with 45. The Packers are at 44. The Cowboys are at 43. And then the Patriots are at 42. So when looking at that list, okay, the Bengals, the Niners, the Ravens. I would say those three kill it. They have perfect amount of picks. Yeah, they're on the higher end. They're killing it with their drafts and everything that they've done. But then you look at the Browns being number one, and tell me, yes, they made the playoffs last year, but is that a good team? Do they have it all figured out? Are the Browns one of those teams that you are fearful of, making runs next year, the year after that, being a dynasty maybe? I don't think so. I think they, okay, great. They have 52 picks. What have they done with it? So far, it doesn't look like they've done enough. They've done something with them, obviously, but not enough. Seahawks got rid of Russell Wilson. Geno Smith had one good year, and then last year was kind of average. And, what's going to happen with that? The Vikings, obviously, Jordan Addison, great pick last year, but Kirk Cousins is gone. So who's their quarterback now? Are they going to try to package 11 and 23 and trade up for 3? They're going to try to package 11, 23, next year's 1, maybe a 2026 1, and then move up to 2. I mean, there's a lot going on. The Colts barely missed out on the playoffs. Commanders, obviously, we know suck. Packers, average right now. I think Jordan Love obviously it was a good year for him, but I feel like a lot of people had no idea what to make of him. So I'm very interested to see what happens next year and see if he can keep it going and maybe even repeat or do better. So if he can, the Packers are a good team. The Raiders, the boys, and the Patriots. Raiders had to fire Josh McDaniels. There's a lot craziness going on there. Cowboys, I think, they've had some good picks, but for the most part, they seem to be a regular season team. I went on, EJ Savage, who's a co-contributor here on the Grid Network. He has got his show, The Boys in the Zone, and we talked about the Cowboys and how I thought that it was, their regular season team, and that Dak, I don't think is the answer, because I feel like I've seen the Cowboys have enough weapons and a great old line for Dak, yet they don't go far. I think that season that he broke his leg might have been the season, but of course he got hurt. And the Patriots are at 42. I mean, is it guaranteed that you have the most picks equals success? Because that's what Jerod Mayo is saying. And I don't think it does. I don't think having the most picks possible guarantees success. And that's what Jerod Mayo is saying. But then the very next day, it was kind of funny because Robert Kraft goes on and he has his own press conference out in the foyer or, out in the lawn. And there's a lot to break down with Robert Kraft. And as I mentioned earlier with Sam Kennedy, for all these executives, owners who try to sit there and say that they're fans of the team and that, they're trying to relate to us, saying that, I'm a fan just like you. No, you're not. You're the owner. It's kind of a difference. Like you own the team. You can do whatever you want. You can fly in on your own private helicopter, your private jet, whatever. Whereas for me, I'm paying my hard-earned money to you, right? Who then obviously has money. He makes money hand over fist, obviously, with the TV deals, but then takes my money and pays the players with it, pays the staff with it. So I'm kind of done with all of this because I feel like Sam Kennedy is trying to do that, use the Robert Kraft playbook and like, hey, look, I'm a local guy. I'm one of you. Like, look, I live right down the street. I go to the local Dunkin' Donuts, man. Like, it's like, stop it. The two of you. All right. Please. I'm done. I'm done with it because I can't relate to you. And I figure that you can't relate to them either. So why are we going to try to play this game? Don't get me wrong. I love the guys, the ex-players like Kevin Garnett, for instance. I know I'm jumping to basketball for a quick second, but Kevin Garnett, who didn't want to come to Boston in the first place, but then, we got Ray Allen. He accepted the deal with a little help from Kevin McHale. But now he loves Boston. Boston is like a second home to him, and it's great. It's good to see. Bruins, you got some of the local guys. It's kind of funny, but at the end of the day, are those local guys helping us win? That's the $1 million question. And so Robert Kraft talking about his fandom and how, he's trying to talk about what the Patriots should do at number 3 or do the Patriots, should they get a quarterback, right? And of course, he's like, I got to put on my fan hat and, we got to talk about how he, at the end of the day, quote, one way or another, I'd like to see us get a top-rate young quarterback, end quote. And they clearly didn't go out on the market to do that. So my guess is that they're going to draft a guy. And after reading that, it kind of feels to me that Robert Kraft has become the owner in draft day where he's going to get pissed at Elliott Wolf if they don't take a quarterback at 3. If Minnesota, by some stretch of the imagination, gives them this Godfather offer, 11, 23, a 25 first, a 26 first, and Justin Jefferson, or cut the 26 first out, those 3 and Justin Jefferson, and they trade out, I wouldn't be surprised if Robert Kraft is pissed behind closed doors, especially if at 11 and 23, we miss out and the only guy remaining is Michael Penix. And Michael Penix, we haven't scouted at all. He was the only quarterback we didn't talk to. He's the only quarterback that we actually sent 4 guys to his pro day today, but I don't think it was many high-ranking guys. So, what does that tell you? I think they just wanted to see it. And if he's the only guy remaining, because we went with a left tackle at 11, Troy Fountain, who, again, if you watched the show on Tuesday, the Boys in the Zone show that I was with, I was gladly joined with EJ Savage. Sorry, EJ. He's got a great Cowboy show. So if you're interested, if you like the Cowboys, or if you just want to listen to more of the Grid Network shows, we got a great array of different shows here on the Grid Network. So I suggest you check them all out. But we did a mock draft, and I traded out at 3. I got 11 and Justin Jefferson. I didn't get 23, but I got 11 and Justin Jefferson, and then took the left tackle out of Washington, Troy Fountain. So if we do that, and then we're left at 23 with Michael Penix, Robert Kraft might be pissed. And so that's going to be interesting. But Robert also goes on to talk about how optimistic he was, saying, quote, we've made some improvements, end quote. And then, obviously by signing younger players that we drafted, that have been in the system. And to that I go, well, Robert, those same guys are the guys that helped us go 4-13. Like, the reason why we're in this position is based on those guys. Now, of course, could some of the outcomes have been a little different? Absolutely. There might have been a situation here, a situation there that could have changed everything. We could have won, and then we wouldn't be sitting here at third, we'd be sitting at 10th or something like that. I don't know. But it was kind of crazy. And I know we haven't signed, our top three round picks to a second contract in over 10 years. But again, a lot of these guys, are they worth it? Are they worth it? Because to be honest, I would have let Duggar walk. I think Kyle Duggar is a fine player, but I don't think he is probably worth what he's thinking he's worth. Obviously, Robert goes on to talk about Calvin Ridley and that whole situation, saying that, it was because of finances, but really because his girlfriend wanted to be in the South. And I think Calvin Ridley, it's his wife, but she wanted to stay in the South, and really laying that on thick. And then at the very end goes, it also might be the QB situation too. And then they go on to the next question. And it was like, there you go, Robert. Way to just kind of not even bring that up, right? Not even go and expand into more detail, really tell you what everybody is thinking, knowing that really Jacoby Brissett's the guy you want to run into battle with, especially if we trade out at 3. That's why you needed to get Gardner Minshew, Justin Fields, somebody who's young enough where they can, play for the starting role, that have experience in the league, that have shown some moxie, some talent. And yet, nope, we're going to do what's comfortable. Sign Jacoby Brissett, it's cheap, and that's it. And then stay with Bailey Zappi too, who I can't stand Zappi. And you know what? The players might love him, and that's fine. But God, I think he is just an absolute screwball. And the dude is so full of himself. And listen, I got no problem with ego, because I think, a quarterback, cornerback, and wide receiver have to be the most ego-driven positions on the field. But I've said this from day one. I think Bailey Zappi has overrated his own talent. And, he was a yes man for Belichick and Patricia. Year one, his rookie year when he was drafted. I think that's why everything was so crazy like that, right? And that's why I think he gained all that confidence, and because he just was like, I don't know better. So yeah, okay, Matt Patricia, I don't care that you're a defensive guy trying to be an offensive coordinator. Yeah, whatever. I'll just do what you say. So I think obviously that helped him a lot. Obviously, then Kraft talking about the NFL Players Association survey, going how the Patriots have failed miserably at providing daycare for players, kids during games, and letting their wives sit and watch the game. Rather, the wives have to sit and watch the kids. They can't enjoy themselves, as well as I think getting an F or a D on the weight room, which blows my mind. I feel like a lot of the SEC schools, a lot of the top tier colleges are changing their weight rooms, changing their locker rooms almost every 5 years to a T. But yet the NFL, you're going from college to the NFL and you're getting a lesser weight room. How ridiculous is that? Right? You're going from amateur hour to professional, and your amateur hour has a better weight room, better locker room, better facilities than the team that drafts you, that you're a pro. That's crazy to me. And then he has the gall to say that he was unaware. It's like, Robert, this isn't the first survey that has been released. They released one last year, and those were the two biggest issues for the Patriots. Those same exact ones, the child care and the weight room, the wait staff. And you did nothing You were so focused on your friggin' lighthouse in that scoreboard that needs to be at least 20 feet higher, not wider, higher, because it looks so weird being that panoramic view. I feel like you can only get, that widescreen view, and I hate the widescreen. So you don't get the whole, I'm a full screen guy. What can I say? But you were so focused on that nonsense that this is what you're like, yeah, whatever, we'll push it off for as long as we can go. And now you're actually getting called out on it. And you're kind of like, oh, yeah, I guess I have to do something now. So you're putting in that development adjacent to everything else. I wonder how that's going to go. And then the last thing, obviously, with Kraft was him being asked about the dynasty in the docuseries and talking about how, he was just as disappointed. He loved the first 3 episodes, but felt bad the emphasis was so much on the controversial and that they should have focused more on the Super Bowl wins and the 21-game win streak. The players given hours of interviews not getting shown, only focusing on the negativity. And it's so dumb. That's the problem that I have with some of these ownership groups, like these guys that, you know what, just admit it. Is it that hard to do? Just say, I paid for this. I own it. I said, follow the book. Make sure that we focus on hammering Belichick. Again, was Robert Kraft leaning over Matthew Hamachek's shoulder to say, no, we don't need that. We need this. We need that. That's the line that I want. No, of course not. But Hamachek, the director, had a guideline. He knew what he was doing. Come on. At the end of the show, it says Kraft Dynasty LLC. I mean, could you get any more clearer than that? So please, spare me on the idea that this was all, you were totally, oh my gosh, oh no, I didn't want it like that. I wanted it to be about everything. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. And it's not hard to figure that one out. I mean, if Robert wasn't the one, then I know Jonathan was. All right, if I'm going to give Robert the benefit of the doubt and say, you know what, Robert, fine. You had no idea. You weren't part of it. Maybe the LLC isn't even yours. Well, guess who it is then? It's Jonathan's. And that's where I'm going to shift the blame to. So it's either you or your son. Pick one. It's ridiculous. It's stupid to me that every owner, every president, every GM or these guys, they don't want to accept blame. Or when they do, it's Bill Belichick. And you know what? Looking back on it, I think Bill Belichick and his attitude and his grumpiness and his just being kind of a dick, was saved Robert Kraft a lot of blame because Belichick didn't care that all the blame was going on him. If Belichick wanted to spend money and Robert told him no, Belichick didn't care that all the blame on the money, on not spending, fell on him. And now, once Belichick's gone, Robert's trying to hide behind everybody else. But we all know that he's the last one standing. So the blame obviously is going to Robert. You can't blame Mayo. You can't blame Wolf. You can't blame Groh. Robert, it's either you or Jonathan. It's one or the other. So that's really what kills me about this. And, I will just briefly mention Mayo on Monday saying that ownership doesn't want to be involved in football decisions. Yet Robert Kraft on Tuesday follows it up with would like the Patriots to draft a top-rate young quarterback. A little bit involved in the football decisions. I mentioned this on the show on Tuesday on EJ's show, Boys in the Zone, which is on the Grid Network. Okay, so check it out. But I said that Robert is trying to be Jerry Jones and have all that football decision, but not be the guy to take the blame when they screw up, right? And that's the thing. Like Jerry Jones, I respect him for that. He's like, this is my team. I'm making the draft picks. I'm doing this, that, and the other. Whereas Robert, he's like, no, I'm staying as far away from this as possible. Yet, by the way, I want you to draft a top-rate young quarterback. Like, come on. Robert keeps reminding me more and more of the owner from draft day, and I swear it's going to get crazy. There is no one else to blame in this organization anymore for not spending money, for making bad draft picks, doing this, that, and the other. It's all going to be on Robert now. Everything is on Robert's shoulders, and I don't think he definitely doesn't want it. Not that I don't think. He definitely does not want it. But going from the Patriots now over to the Celtics. Just briefly, what more can I say? The Celtics locked up the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. They've, there's, I think, 10 games remaining, 9 games. They're playing right now, back-to-back against Atlanta. And the game against Atlanta on Tuesday or Monday floored me. Absolutely floored me. And it wasn't, and part of it obviously was the fact that they were up 30 points and then subsequently blew it and lost. I don't care if you were out partying and drinking the night before or for the last 4 nights in Atlanta, however long you were there. There is zero excuse to be up 30 midway through the second quarter without Derek White, without Drew Holiday, and then still subsequently blow it. And what really floored me, obviously, was blowing that lead, because that is just a stupid lead to blow. It floored me because the analytics, I think, helped play a part in it, as well as Tatum and Brown at the end of the game became Mr. ISO, Mr. Isolation. It's their ball. They're going to be, it's their ball for all 24 seconds. Tatum bringing the ball up and not even crossing half court and getting an 8-second violation. How many of those do you see in the league at all season? Maybe a handful. But that was so dumb and so stupid. And really, I'm not concerned about them in the playoffs, but I am concerned about their antics and this type of action, because that's why they lost. They should have beat Atlanta in 5 last year in that first round. And Atlanta didn't go away. They forced a 7 game. Obviously, they came back on Monday and beat your ass while you were up 30. Teams aren't afraid of you. Just because you have these big leads, especially in the first half, maybe even midway through the third quarter, the team can still look at it and be like, yo, we do this, we do that. Guess what? We're back in it. And that's what a lot of teams do. That 08 team where Garnett, Allen, and Pierce, if they ever were up 30, that game was over at any point in the game. If they were up 30 at any point in the game, it was done. They were not losing that game. And analytics, I think, is part of the blame, obviously, because not only were the Jays playing ISO, but also because 21 of their 38 three-point attempts, excuse me, 21 of their 38 three-point attempts came after their 30-point lead. 55% of their three-point attempts came after them being up 30. Guys, you're up 30 friggin' points. Stop listening to the damn nerds and drive the paint. That's it. That's all you have to do. And then if you don't, here's an idea. Go to the elbow. Go to the line. Like, it's honestly, take the mid-range jumper. Like, hello, higher percentage shots. It's not that hard. But yet that phase of the game is out because you have these coaches, you have these players that are so focused on staying behind the line or driving to the hole. It's all or nothing, basically. And it's so dumb, so stupid that in late game situations, that's what really scares me about this team. And I know that Bryson on Carving It Up on the Carving It Up podcast on the Grid Network, great show. Check it out Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. He talked about how great Tatum is in elimination games, and that's true. He is in elimination games. Tatum has more points per game. He's got more rebounds, assists, like all of that. Than Kobe Bryant and some of the greats. But what I wanted to respond with and commented on was that it's one thing to play the whole game. Like, yeah, okay, the elimination game itself, all 48 minutes, yeah, Tatum has come through. He has. But what about the final 2 minutes of a game? What about the final minute? What about the final 30 seconds? Right? That's where everything loses its mind. That's where everything changes. Tatum doesn't move the ball. The Celtics don't move the ball at all anymore. When it gets down to crunch time, tight game, they're down 2, they're up 2, they're tied. Like, that's where I sit and I have a problem because, again, the Celtics play a great team game. Yes, Tatum runs the team. Like, that's his team. But so far, the ball, the way they get up 30 points is through their passing, by spreading the ball around, getting Porzingis' opportunities. And trust me, Porzingis has plenty of times where he should have gotten the ball in the final possession, but they refuse. They both, the Jays, want to make it about them. And both of them just aren't good. And it's wild to me. It's wild to me that you have these moments and they both just crap down their pants. Not every single time. I mean, Bryson did, respond and say that, well, Tatum had that layup against the Brooklyn Nets in game 1, which he did. And that was great. But I feel like, if anything, that was kind of a fluke. That wasn't designed. That wasn't drawn up. Tatum just happened to be moving, and Jaylen Brown caught him right time, threw him the pass, and then bam, spun, layup, good. Like, it was good. But overall, the two of them, Jaylen and Jason, need to figure out how to develop that clutch gene. And yes, I know the nerds aren't going to sit there and say there's no such thing, or are going to sit there and say there's no such thing. Well, I'm sorry, but yeah, there is. High pressure chances like that, the final seconds of a game, you have to hit the jumper, you have to drive the hole, you have to hit the 3. I'm sorry, that's clutch. Greatest clutch hitter of all time, David Ortiz. I mean, again, there is such a thing as clutch. Numbers and analytics try to eliminate that altogether, and that's wrong. But don't get me wrong, I have faith that the Celtics will win the NBA championship this year. I do. It's just, I feel like they're going to, piss it away. They're going to do something stupid and they're going to dribble the ball, you know, 25 times and then do this stupid fade away from the elbow, stupid fade away from the three. And it's already a low percentage shot. Now it's an even lower percentage shot because you're trying to do the fade away. So it's like, that's where they're going to run into trouble. And what frightens me about that team and their playoff run. Well, speaking of playoff runs, the Boston Bruins are finishing off their season as well. The playoffs are starting soon, and a lot happened over the span of 5 days. Saturday, they had an absolutely terrible loss to Philadelphia, only for Jim Montgomery, who is, Mr. Players Coach. Everybody loves him. That's the reason why he got hired, is because Bruce Cassidy is too hard on us. I want the coach to be nice and to coddle me. That's why I wanted Bruce Cassidy gone, or what a lot of the players were saying. And then you have that terrible loss only for Jim Montgomery to turn into Bruce Cassidy, because he had the guys skating either the distance, full sprints, or suicides, whatever it was, on practice on Monday, and bitching them out left and right. Even the media guys who could hear everything weren't even in the rink. They were in the press box, could hear everything. And so Jim was pissed, and rightfully so, going on and to tell the media that we're not ready for the playoffs. The playoffs are literally right around the corner, and we're not ready. And so I looked at that, was kind of scared, because I'm like, well, I shouldn't say scared, because to be honest with you, after last season, losing Bergeron, Krejci, I have faith that we'll hopefully at least win one round. But as constituted, I don't think that this team will make a deep playoff run. And again, anything, puck luck, baby. Puck luck can change everything. Yet, I still don't believe that. I think our regular season is not representative of our playoff chances. And so I was kind of surprised and kind of like, all right, let's see what happens. We're going against the Panthers, who, first of all, going into that game, I can't believe we even won the first two games against them, only to then play their style of hockey, which was absolutely physical. Hampus Lindholm getting in his first fighting major ever. And I mean, it wasn't good. He sucked. He got his ass kicked. But nonetheless, he stuck up for his team. He stuck up for his guys. And I was kind of like, whoa, okay then. Hey, something's going on. Brad Marchand, he's my height. And and he's fighting a 6'4" guy, 6'5" in that game, which I think turned the tide, turned some heads. And, somehow squeaked out a victory in Florida, which I couldn't believe. It's like, whoa, all right. I'm not sitting here saying that we're going to go all the way now, but Toronto and versus Florida, if memory serves, I think the Bruins are 7-0 this regular season against those teams. So it's kind of like, give me Toronto, give me Florida in the second round. Like, that would be ideal. Not because I think we could beat Florida in a 7-game series. Absolutely not. That team would wear us down. There is no shot, in a 7-game series, in my opinion. But it certainly would be a fun, entertaining series, especially to rematch after what happened last year, getting knocked out in the first round like that. So it would be fun. I think that would be interesting. But then, of course, they followed it up with a loss to the Bolts last night, and you could tell they kind of looked tired. Which I want to be like, yeah, okay. Like I want to say that's okay, but at the same time, like I want to stay consistent. I don't believe there is such a thing as a moral loss. I don't believe there is such a thing as that, right? And so it's it kind of the game was there for the taking. I think a couple of times, but they didn't have the juice, they didn't have the energy, and then I will tell you, this was kind of one of the more shameful things. That final 4.5 minutes of not pulling your goalie, and then literally a buck 10 remaining. Hampus Lindholm gets the puck, skates behind Allmark, leaves the puck there for Coyle to come around. Coyle just sits there. Allmark ain't moving. You're down one. And all of a sudden, final minute remaining. And you're like, and still, nothing. I don't think they moved until it was like 57 seconds, 56 seconds. They started to make their play up the ice. And once the puck got past the first blue line, that's when I think Allmark made the move. And all of a sudden, you had a 6-on-5. Puck was in the offensive zone. And somehow, some way, Nikita Kucherov squeaks off, and Tampa gets the puck, finds him. He is all by himself. All by himself. Not that there was a trailing defender. No. There was no one. Absolutely no one. And so that blew my mind. It was literally the most uninspiring ending to being down one goal I think I've ever seen. Like that I hated every bit of that. Because again, I don't care how tired you are. You have to be aggressive. It's the final minutes of the game, guys. Come on. Like, what are we doing? And I know it was hard, that final 4.5, to maintain good offensive zone. Fine. So be it. But when Charlie Coyle has that puck, at least behind the net, Allmark, get your ass to the bench. Bring the sixth man on, and then Coyle will move the puck out from behind the net. Something like that. At least, show some urgency. I mean, damn, guys, really. But obviously, you can't win them all. And to be honest, and also, too, it is kind of tough to, say that I want them to win. Because, of course, I want them to win. But I also want them to face Toronto in the first round. I want them to play the Leafs in the first round. I'm thinking that the winner of the Atlantic might be the number one seed in the Eastern Conference, which would mean we wouldn't play the Lightning. But if somehow New York jumps and becomes the number one seed, and then we're the number one seed in the Atlantic, we would be playing the Lightning, and that would scare the piss out of me. Even though the Lightning aren't good this year, trust me, I had a whole separate podcast alone on the Lightning. So I've been following them all season. They're not good. They're still talented enough and still kind of own our ass. I think they won the series 3-1, this regular season. Again, everything can change, once the postseason hits. But it's the Bruins, man. I would love to see just at least them get out of the first round. And I think Toronto is softer than you. So that's why I want to see the Leafs. Because even though they're talented, obviously Boston has crushed them this season. And their softness knows no limits. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting season so far for the Bruins. And I do just want to check out the Celtics. What time do they play? Yeah, they're playing right now. And it's actually a tie ball game. 5:15 remaining in the second quarter. and it's 44 apiece. So in case you're wondering, in case you're, going to tune in after this show, I appreciate you guys, staying here, watching, listening to me. If you have any thoughts, questions, you can always hit me up, comment, please like, share, subscribe on the Grid Network, my YouTube channel, Boston Sports Summit. Please like and follow my X account, Boss Sports Summit, as well as my Instagram, Boston Sports Summit. So thank you guys once again so much. This is the Boston Sports Summit presented by the Grid Network. I am your host, Tim Barnard. And to everybody out there, go Boston and God bless. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I'll be back next Wednesday here on the Grid Network's YouTube channel, live at 7 p.m. Don't forget, next Wednesday, which will be April 3rd. April 3rd will be live on the Grid Network, 7 p.m. Tune in. See you there. Once again, everybody, God bless. Thank you.